So I found this salted caramel cookie tart and I figured I want to share it with you guys. First ingredient, butter. Second ingredient, almond flour. Third ingredient, heavy cream. Okay, fine. I'll make my own version. Low carbs, low fat, low cholesterol, high protein, PSMF and keto friendly one. Happy now? Don't these look delicious? They tasted even better, and you'll see why in 3 easy steps. Okay, so step number 1 is the crunchy cookie base. We need to fluff up 2 egg whites or 4 tablespoons. And then we'll add a 1/4 cup of cocoa and 1 cup of sweetener. Now, if you prefer your dessert not too sweet, you can go for 3/4 cup or even 1/2 cup of sweetener instead. Personally, I like my dessert pretty sweet, so I went for the whole cup. Now you'll notice while mixing that the eggs will fall back down, which is totally fine for us here since we're using this mixture for a tart base and we don't want it to rise in the oven. So that's perfectly fine. Here you can see that I oiled the molds, and this was a big mistake because the oil went into the mixture and it made it that much harder to spread and the mixture kept falling back down. But since the base is a crunchy cookie, we will have to leave it in the molds. We're not going to be able to get it out of the mold and, add the other layers. And therefore, oiling the molds was totally unnecessary. But I managed to get it done at the end, though. Once you've won the battle with the mold, you can put these in the oven for 30 minutes at 300 Fahrenheit. While the tart base cools down, let's do step number 2, the caramel layer, also known as heaven. Over medium heat, melt 1/2 cup of allulose. It needs to be allulose, otherwise it will not caramelize. Once the allulose has melted, add 1/8 cup of water and continue to caramelize. Once you've reached the caramel signature color, go ahead and pour this goodness layer into the tart molds and let it cool down in the fridge. Time for step number 3. For the filling, we'll need to mix together 1 cup of low-fat sour cream, 1/2 cup of sweetener, and 1 cup of cocoa. Now, I use sour cream because I like its tangy flavor. You can use low-fat yogurt if you prefer, but if you do so, make sure it's not Greek yogurt as it will have a lemony flavor that will clash with the end result. Once well combined, feel free to taste test it, but be warned, once you do, you might not be able to stop testing it. Pour whatever's left of the mixture into the tart molds. All that's left to do is sprinkle some salt. I used Himalayan salt, but you can use whichever salt that makes sense for you. We couldn't add the salt with the caramel layer because we're not using any heavy cream or butter, and the salt wouldn't have incorporated properly with the caramel. This needs to go into the fridge for another hour in order to cool down. But if you're impatient like me and like to eat caramelized messes, feel free to cut into it right away.